we opine, we make jokes, and now other people are having their say.
Jon Stewart spoke with David Remnick at The New Yorker and gave his thoughts on comedians complaining about cancel culture. And I think he does a fantastic job here explaining what the issue actually is.
A lot of voices now, John, are like Bill Maher, for example. When it comes to the culture wars, he expresses his frustration over and over again. I can't say this. We're limited in saying that. We have to wear a gag, and this kind of expression. Comedians are talking all the time about, well, I feel I can't do this. I can't say that.
No,
listen, how do you come down on this?
Who talk about cancel culture. Here's a nice absurdity.
Okay.
People that talk about cancel culture never seem to shut the fuck up about it. Like, there's more speech now than ever before. It's not you can't say, it's that when you say it, look, the internet has democratized criticism. What do we do for a living? We talk shit. We criticize, we postulate, we opine, we make jokes, and now other people are having their say. And that's not cancel culture. That's relentlessness. We live in relentless culture. And the system of the internet and all those other things are incentivized to find the pressure points of that and exacerbate it.
This is such a fantastic breakdown of what the actual issue is, what cancel culture, so-called cancel culture, really is. All it is democratized criticism. You have now platforms that didn't exist 15 years ago that have now allowed everyday people to have an opinion on something. And when those people get together and share the same opinion, then that's going to hold some weight that they didn't have, 15, 20 years ago. So these comedians, look, there's differences here, but Dave Chappelle, Bill Maher, I'd say is a lot worse. It's like half of his act. Dave Chappelle at least is funny, apart from some bad jokes. But these comedians, and obviously many others, where their entire identity, or at least part of most of what they talk about is cancel culture. It is just so ridiculous, especially when we're talking about people like Bill Maher, for example, who has a very successful career, has a lot of money, has been on the air forever. Him complaining about cancel culture, look, it's one thing when a show was canceled, what was that, 20 years ago? But he's been fine since then. And the idea of him complaining about cancel culture, when really it's just people in audiences that maybe don't like your jokes, the whole thing is just completely absurd. So I like how Jon Stewart here centers the conversation about what this is really about. It's about criticism that has now been given a voice that it didn't have before. And sure, there are definitely issues. Like, I'm not going to pretend that, digging up tweets from 10 years ago to try and get someone fired is a good idea. No, there's definitely negative impacts of so-called cancel culture. But more when we're talking about the comedians that, have their whole act around this, that's where I think a lot of people just roll their eyes, especially when people like Bill Maher, Dave Chappelle are so successful, continue being successful, make a lot of money, are doing fine. For them to complain about cancel culture is a little ridiculous, especially, I talked about this briefly in my video on Dave Chappelle, where, to be clear, I liked a lot of his special. But when he mentions that J.K. Rowling was canceled, J.K. Rowling has multiple Hollywood movies coming out. How do you cancel somebody, or how is someone canceled if they have movies coming out? It doesn't make any sense. But that's what I'm talking about. Criticism is not being canceled. But Jon Stewart here, in his own way, if you want to use criticism as being canceled, he appears to cancel culture.